else's idiots. All I want is your love. What's up, whoever's in here? Zach, what up, buddy? Good morning to you, buddy. How you doing, man? How are things going on this beautiful Thursday morning? Figured I'd get a real quick stream in before I start work today. Had to take a little car ride. Get some coffee here in a few minutes. Just figured I'd say what's up. Everybody else must be either sleeping or working, or they just don't love me anymore. One of the two. What's up with you, Zach? You not talkative this morning or what? Or you just delayed? What up, what up, what up, what up? Take probably another... No, people should be in by now. Jimmy's Brakes, man. What up, man? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping on in here. It's going to be a really quick live in the car. I know I'm not a huge fan of streams in the car, but I do them quite often because I'm always on the move. It's when I find time to do it. But I really wanted to recap a little bit, just kind of talk about last night on In Depth. I talked to Marky afterwards, because we stay connected. Like, even when I kill the stream, we're still connected through Zoom. It's just not live streaming anymore when I end the stream, right? And I told him that was probably, interview-wise, I've had some good interviews on In Depth. That was probably the best interview guest-wise, as far as his stories, his context, how in depth he went. I mean, he told us some things that he's never told before, He said that he's never really told his whole life story up to 24 years old. This is the first time, and he's wanted to do it. In fact, talking to him afterwards, I told him that he should create a channel. He should create a channel separate from his card thing or whatever, maybe, where he just focuses on telling his, breaking it down into different streams, telling his stories. I told him, find something that you enjoy doing, like me, like in the summer and springtime, right? It's me and Zoe on walks for daily walk vlogs. And that's where we recap, like, our day, and we catch up with the community, and whatever you guys got. If you guys have questions for me for the day, or for whatever, hobby related, life related, whatever that might be. And I really hope he does it, because, man, he really, guys, like, insane. And I know 100%, I know that it for sure got Matt Balsley. He sent me that text during the interview I read to Marky, so I felt like it was necessary. That really touched Marky, that really hit him. And that's the type of stuff that we need. That's the type of stuff that we are all looking for. Like, when you're doing these interviews, last night was the exact example of what I'm trying to do with In Depth, okay? It's not always going to be just about cards. It's not always going to be about sports. In Depths are going to be people's stories, people's lives, situations they've gone through that they want to share, that they want to help someone else. They want their story, their life, their message, they want that to touch somebody else. They want that to touch someone else's life. They want that to hopefully make an impact on somebody else. Maybe there's people, and like I told Marky, I said, man, when we were talking just on Zoom afterwards, I said, me and you don't know, but let's just say, even within like a card community, let's say he's doing his breaks. Let's say he's got 15. What's up, Michael? What's up, Balls? Everybody, good morning, man. Let's just say him, an example, or let's take, I see Michael in here, so his good boy Eloy, right? Let's take Eloy's group, his community. Let's take the people that come and hang on my streams. Anyone, right? Those 20, 30, 40, 50 people, and they may not all show up at the same time. But those people that may show up at some point that are a part of that community, as much as we think we may know them, we probably really don't. How many of you guys, if Balls hadn't mentioned or ever said anything to you, how many of you guys would know that Balls felt he had a drinking problem, where he was drinking daily, and he felt like it was affecting his life? How many people out there would even know that? So my point is, yeah, Michael. No, I know your name is Michael. I just said Eloy, one of Eloy's boys, Michael. I know that. But how many of you guys would really know that? And that's what it's about, man. I told you, I said, dude, like for me, when I was addicted to pain pills, I was a functioning addict, meaning I could go to work on them. It wouldn't affect anything. What's up, Shaq Rat? Good morning, brother. Shaq Rat in the house. Izzy. It wouldn't affect anything. Well, I'd say it wouldn't affect anything. I'm sure it probably did, but people didn't know. What I mean by that is I could be high on pain pills and nobody would even know. Nobody would have a clue that I was on them. And I did that for a long time. So my point is that let's say there's 30, 40, 50 people from someone's community. Let's say it's mine. Let's say it's Eloy's. Let's say it's Jimmy Guns. Let's say it's BITG, whoever. It doesn't matter. You don't realize how many people out of those 20, 30, 40, 50 people are actually probably struggling with something. Whether it's addiction or something else. You don't even realize. So my point of this whole thing is this. Here's what I'm trying to get out of this. Here's my message out of this. Is that the in-depths that I do, a lot of times I'm looking for people with stories that they want to share that will have some kind of impact that might send a message to one of you guys or somebody out there watching, right? Hearing someone's story, hearing how they got through, hearing how there is actually a brighter side on the other side from the darkness that someone may be living in, and that you can get there no matter what it is. Think about this. If you listen to Marky's story, and if you didn't, I advise you to take the hour and watch it on my channel. The In-Depth with Marky from Syndicate Sports Cards. It is well worth it. He's got a very, very powerful message, very powerful story. The kid is 24 years old. He's probably lived more of a crazy-ass life than a lot of people that are 50, 60 years old. His story is very similar to mine. Different drug use, but very similar stories, very similar situations. I shared with you guys one of those situations or stories during the interview to kind of paint you a picture of my experience with what he was addicted to, which I didn't really do. I did it that one time, and that one time was insane, and I would never do it again. But he went from taking a couple bars to 6, 12 bars a day, getting prescribed 120 milligrams of Xanax a month, and racing through them and having to go out and buy more, and having to go around the streets and do the pickup chase, trying to find that. He was in the hospital numerous times. He drove his vehicle home. He didn't even know that he took a shot of alcohol. He picked up a little bottle of alcohol. He was driving. He had 3 people call the cops for reckless driving while he was driving. When he got close to his house, he ran into a telephone pole, and he ended up somehow getting home, and there was 2 ladies walking their dogs or whatever that saw him hit the pole, so they called the cops, as he was pulling into the driveway at the house. And what's crazy is what he says is he kept, it would come to his mind when he'd be in the hospital and he would ask himself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to the people that love me? Why am I doing this to my family? Right? Because for him, it was whatever. And the reason why he even got into it and got addicted is the same reason most of us do, right? We have something that we want to get rid of. We have something we want to eliminate. We want to numb ourselves. We want no pain. And a good word that Marky used last night was, we want to feel invincible, right? We want to feel like there's nothing going on. Okay, no worries, man. Appreciate you. Was a functioning alcoholic until I took the control back. Right. Exactly, man. Exactly. So, we can all learn from something. And whether you're it's how you take what you hear and what is given to you. Even if you are not somebody who is an addict or is going through something like that, you may know somebody that is. You may get a better understanding because they may not be sharing with you stories or what they've been doing if you're not always with them. So my statement to this is it could help you help a friend or save a friend. And you might have a better idea by hearing some of the stories as far as what their mind thinks or what they're thinking, right? Why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, again, man, just an incredible story. I'm still honored. I'm still shocked. The coolest part about the whole thing is seeing when they can get emotional, and then the shit is really real, right? Everybody's always so afraid to show emotion in front of people, right? Anybody and everybody will cry in a shower on a day where it comes down to it, whether they lose a close family member, a parent, brother, cousin, they lose a job, they're financially stressed. Anyone will go and do that, and I'm saying that that's perfectly fine. But it's also perfectly fine to show emotion when you're telling the story of your life or you're telling something that really has a lot of meaning to it. I mean, Marky should be dead. He should have died probably 6 times. Quato's texted me and said, man, that dude's story's insane. He said he should literally be dead. He should have died like 6 times. And it's somewhat true, man. And you got to realize where you're at, situations you get put into, and how your life can change, and where you've been and where you've gone. That again, we got to go back and really appreciate what it is we do have, what it is we have lived through. And I think that's really important. I think appreciating what we have lived through is a big thing. Because I think sometimes we want to forget where we've came from. Sometimes, depends on who you are. Not saying everybody. But I think sometimes we want to forget where we came from. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. Regardless of how tough or how good it was, I think we can always learn from our past and our mistakes. And they always say leave the past. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think we should dwell on stuff in the past, personally. And these are my opinions, again, my theory, my thoughts. But I do feel like we need to go back and visit our past. Maybe address some things in our past. I mean, guys, like Marky talking about the girlfriend he was with, and God bless his girlfriend now that stuck with him through all the stuff she stuck with him through. I mean, that's a hell of a woman. And that other girlfriend, driving him halfway home from a couple states and telling his parents they have to pick him up because he got so blacked out what he was saying to his girlfriend at the time, and how he was treating her. But it's no excuse, but that's what drugs do to you. It's not an excuse, but that's what those types of drugs do to you, especially when you're mixing alcohol. You have no idea, you have no clue. Guys, and a buddy of mine, I told him, I got so blacked out, I told him I needed a bunch of cocaine. So I hit up one of my boys, not even knowing. We picked up a bunch, and she took me back to her ex-boyfriend, her husband's house. The door was unlocked. He was in the bedroom sleeping. We were doing lines on her ex-husband, boyfriend's kitchen table all night. And I had no clue what the fuck was going on. Like, that could have been a bad situation right there. Who knows what he would have done if he woke up? Probably would have been in a brawl, would have been in a fight. Number one, I'm hanging out with his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife. Number two, we're in his place doing lines of cocaine on his kitchen table. But that's how crazy it is. That's how crazy it gets. Especially the stuff that Marky was on, man. And everything is like that, guys. You can get out of it. It's like being unconscious in a conscious state. You're able to function, but you're mentally not there, right? It's kind of like some of those drugs that they say, like, there's different things in different countries. Like, there's one where it's like a powder, and you can just like this, and it goes in the air, and if someone inhales and they don't even know it, it can take them like to a unconscious state, meaning somebody can basically control what they do, and they'll be like, oh yeah, but they're not really coherent of what they're doing. You know, like, oh, take me to the ATM. They do this in other countries, and they rob people of a ton of money, rape them, whatever. It's serious. I mean, it's serious crap. What's up, Mr. Andrew? We're just recapping the interview last night, the in-depth. I think it was very powerful. And like I was telling these guys in the beginning, I think it was probably the best in-depth I've had yet. And I've had, 15 interviews? A lot of great people. And I'm not taking away from anyone else. Javier's story is amazing. Jimmy's story is amazing. I just think the way that Marky answered the questions and how in depth he got in the stories that he gave us of his life, he really drilled it down. I mean, he really timelined it, guys, like, which I thought was incredible. Like, you would have thought he had this shit like written down or something, but he really timelined everything very, very well. You know, he said, okay, so from June 17 to this, okay, and then we went to this boat with my girlfriend, this boat party, and, you know, he had 6 bars or 12 bars of Zans that he took, and then next thing you know, he drank a half liter of Grey Goose, and now he's screaming at his girlfriend and calling her all sorts of crazy names, unacceptable names, not knowing what he was doing, which is not an excuse. And like he said he still does not forgive himself for what he did that day. Probably never will. That's probably the right thing. And again, I think that's where my comment earlier about, you know, people say we shouldn't dwell on the past or forget about the past. I don't think that's right. I think, like in a case like that, I think that that's honestly something that you resort back to, right? So if I'm an addict like I am, like I was, whatever, I'm recovering, and I get myself in a situation, right? And I'm clean now, you know, for however long. Let's just say I'm Marky and I'm clean for 9 months, okay? And I'm hanging out with friends and buddies, and all of a sudden, and most of them know my story and know that I'm an addict, I'm recovering. But some other guys show up and they don't know my story and they don't know me. And they have Zans on them. They want to drop bars. They want to whatever, right? And then they bring it out and they offer it to me. And there's also alcohol. So right there is huge, what we call triggers as an addict. There's different triggers, there's different words, there's different situations, there's things that trigger our addictive mentality, our addictive mind, that which usually can cause a relapse. They offer these, right? And then there's drinking involved. And maybe we've already had a couple drinks because, we can drink and we can handle our liquor. We've never had a drinking problem, even though as addicts, that's still a tough thing because I do drink every once in a while. I think my best friend has been very understanding of my situation and has been super supportive. That's awesome, man. You go over enough stuff in your head of the mistakes you made, you can write a book straight from memory. Exactly, Mr. Andrew. Exactly, brother. That's a great statement. And balls, that's awesome that you have that. You always have me too as another backbone. You can reach out anytime. Any of you guys can reach out to me anytime. If you ever need my number, want my number, DM me, hit me up on whatever, send me an email. My email is the same as my PayPal, if you don't know that already. But reach out, man. I'll be glad to give any of you guys my number. I can talk to any of you guys anytime. If you want to send me an email, I've had many emails sent to me about people and situations and where they're struggling and, whether it's with alcohol or drugs or something. I'm always here to help. I'll be happy to help. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a drug counselor. I never went to school for any of that, but I've been through it. And I've walked in those shoes, so I can give you whatever advice that I would personally recommend. It may not be professional advice, and I'm not saying I am a professional doctor, which I'm claiming I'm not, but I'd still be there to listen. I'd still be there to lend a hand. I'd still be there to, try to help. That's part of my honesty and my being real. Like that's what you guys are going to get from me. You're always going to get honesty. You're always going to get the truth. You're always going to get what's on my mind. And that's why I do this like this right now. I got done with that interview. I talked with Marky for a while afterwards. We had a great conversation after the interview. And I thought about this a lot last night, and I needed to talk about it. And so what do? This is why I do this stuff. This is why I use this. I use my channel to be able to get things off my mind, to be able to get things off my chest, to talk through them, to share the information with you guys, in hopes, again, that maybe it'll help somebody else. That's really the ultimate goal. One of my favorite lines, if you guys haven't been around very long, one of my favorite lines I'm going to share with you right now, I've said this many times on this channel, is this. And I got this from Mask, who was the co-founder of Tap Out clothing that used to be big sponsors of the UFC. They sponsored Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Before he was a pro. They found him at an amateur show and sponsored him and basically got him into the UFC. And a lot of other guys too. But Mask died tragically and he crashed his Ferrari. There's a line that he said to one of the fighters when he was walking with him. They used to do these tap out shows where they go travel in their tap out RV, painted RV, and they would go to shows and talk to guys and check them out and sponsor them and talk, to get their life stories basically. And it was one of the guys, he said this exact thing to him. He said, "You may not touch 1 million people. You might touch that one person. You might touch that one person that can touch 1 million." That's very powerful. And that's very true. As you may not be able to touch a ton of people, there may be somebody else, your message, what you're trying to get out, what you're trying to help with, what you're trying to say, somebody else may be able to touch more people. Or even if you touch one person and then their thing touches 2 people, and maybe those 2 people, at some point it could be touching 1 million people. All right, buddy, I'm going to have to go here in a minute too. But I just wanted to recap that, guys. Just an incredible interview. And if any of you guys have a story that you want to share, your life story, you feel you have a message, I interview anybody. And I'm going to say this before I go. You're probably not going to ever see me interviewing people like Gary Vee or Phil Hughes or someone like that. And again, I don't have anything against those guys. I think they're great. But you know how many times we've already heard their stories because anybody and everybody wants to interview them? I try to go after people that are within the hobby or that have some kind of story that don't get to get heard because somebody won't interview them. You know, because most people just want to interview the big numbers. They want to go after that clout, as they call it, chasing clout, right? And that's fine. But I saw a text from somebody, or not a text, a tweet the other day that said, just because somebody has a huge following doesn't mean they're right. And that's a true statement right there. That's a very powerful statement. So, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter how many followers or what following you have. That doesn't, just because you have a number does not make you right necessarily. That's just your following. It's just people that, whatever. What up, Tim? Good to see you, brother. I'm about to wrap it up, but Tim, I don't know if you got to see the In-Depth last night. If you didn't, dude, check it out, man. It's a very powerful story. Probably could relate a little bit with you. Marky was addicted heavily to Xannies and benzos. He shares some incredible stories that he gone through. He's been clean now, sober for 9 months. It's awesome. Keep pushing that forward there, Marky. And you guys, man, I just want to wish you guys a happy Thursday. We are almost there. We're almost to Friday. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going on. I think Jimmy's going to be doing some kind of interview on, I don't know who it is, somebody's channel at like noon today or something. So look at his Twitter, check it out, see where it's going to be at. Listen to it if you can. And we'll see you guys soon. Caffeine with the Team stream Saturday and Sunday for sure. May go live tomorrow for a little bit before BITG. We'll figure it out. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Have an awesome day. Later.